Hello, welcome to the video today. Today I am at the Philadelphia Museum of Art in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. As we walk up the stairs on this beautiful sunny day, we're getting ready to go inside, and one thing I want to emphasize here is if you like everything in the museum, you're doing it wrong. If you're indifferent to everything in the museum, you're doing it wrong. If you hate everything in the museum, you're doing it wrong. I want to encourage people to have a wide range of opinions and a wide range of feelings about the art that they see inside the museum. So that's what I'm going to share what I feel when I'm going through these galleries. Of course, I love museums, but I really think it's important to have a range of opinions about their art. So here's Diana, the sculpture of Diana in the. But we immediately go here to the great painter from Philadelphia, Mr. Thomas Eakins. Great self-portrait here. And we're going to see a few of his works here. I really enjoyed seeing these. Just so much better than the books that you see. Just full of life here. You know, he had a very structured method, but because he was so innovative, he makes all of these people come to life and makes his worldview come to life. So this was such a treat to see all these paintings. You know, he covers society and portraits, and we're going to eventually see some of his more famous paintings. Next, we move on to Winslow Homer. Oh, I'm so excited to see these pictures. You know, there's a poetic drama to Winslow Homer, and he just covers the American spirit and American viewpoint so well, you know, during the 1800s. The drama of man's interaction with nature, and it really sets him apart from the Impressionism that was going on in France. You know, each country kind of had their own view of the world, and so it's many poignant pictures, and he just had an amazing eye for what to depict and present for us to enjoy. There's Eastman Johnson. Here's a great Pito. I love Pito. These charming paper collages and the way he deceives the eye, it's just so. I always enjoy seeing his paintings. Then we move on to some more lesser known painters, but genre painters. But you can just enjoy the enjoyment of nature, and the style that they worked in was just outstanding, I think. But you really have to look a little extra, because the way that they present the world is so different than the way we see it in our modern painting. So you have to adapt to the way that they see it. But if you look around these, there's a lot of little fun things to examine. Like the horses here, and the pack horses going around the water, and I always kind of wondered, how did they follow a map when there weren't any trails when they were doing their frontier traveling. Here's a great waterfall. You know, I'm not going to identify every painter here. I'm just going to focus on enjoying it. That's an important part of visiting a museum. It's a feast for your eyes, and it's a big, gigantic buffet that you want to enjoy things. So I only look at names. Some of the names I know automatically because I've seen them in books, but I only look at names if I'm really interested. So occasionally I am going to capture the name. Here's a section we're going to move on to a little gallery of women artists, and these are kind of interesting. I'm a little indifferent, but I'm willing to open my mind and examine some of these paintings by women. You know, names I've never heard of, but I do like them put together so that you can kind of see a different viewpoints of all these women. Now here's one. This is one I had seen before in books, and I am interested in this artist. It's Florine Stiedelheimer or something, and but she definitely has her own style, and the way the colors she uses are very original to her. Florine Street. Then we move on to a Whistler painting, and one of the things I wanted to see on this East Coast trip is the Whistlers and examine them and kind of get more of a definitive opinion of Whistler. Okay, here's a famous Thomas Eakins. This is, masterpiece. I have no problem using the M word. This is a masterpiece. These medical students examining the surgery. I'm so impressed by the composition and the overall feel of the painting. I'm not crazy about watching this subject, the operation, but this is an American ideal, how America has the importance of science in America. You don't see this in a French Impressionist painting. Here's another great Thomas Eakins painting. So this sets us apart from the Impressionism. At the same time, it's very realistic and practical, and I can enjoy these. They're not my favorites, but I do enjoy them. But every time I see these surgeries, especially here, this is shocking. I always my head snaps back a little bit when I see that. Here's a great Mary Cassatt. I look forward to seeing more of her works in museums. One thing that I do when I see these portraits is I look closely at the face and the eyes, and I wonder if that's an interesting person, someone I'd like to know, or I just kind of think, is that an interesting person? It's what I ask myself. And sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no, sometimes I'm kind of indifferent. Sometimes he looks a little pretentious, like this young man. Um, so, and these older paintings, you really notice the class more. I always, in general, I like pictures of nature. And here's kind of a genre painting. The boys moving on. I think this is called Breaking Home Ties. This is a type of painting you certainly see in America and sometimes in France. Here's some crystal. And now we move on to Whistler's Mother. This is the first time I've ever seen this painting, and I was a little disappointed. I really look at the face, as I said, and she doesn't look very interesting to me. She's not even looking at me as a viewer. I don't really like the curtain on the left. I don't like the painting on the wall. The colors are there's no colors. It's just black and white, as one of the alternate titles say. And I'm really disappointed in this. I have no idea why this gets so much praise. I just think it's overhyped. Now we move on to these great Impressionist galleries. I'm so grateful that these rich Americans went over to Europe, collected all this Impressionist art, kept that market bubbling and active. And so we can see these things today. They're just so wonderful to have these in the public institutions where anybody can go in and see a Manet here. These Monets, Monet is so consistently great. When I look at these Monets, I just feel that it captures a recognition for a feeling that I had, but I failed to appreciate. Here's a Gauguin, and it's interesting. He's very much like Monet. If he hadn't gone to Tahiti to really expand his originality, he kind of would have be seen as a imitator of Monet. Here's another Monet. Here's the Renoir. Here's a great Mary Cassatt at the opera or the ballet, perhaps. And I always consider these like more of an American face than a impressionist face that Renoir would show. Here's your Degas. And now we move on to many Cezannes. Another Monet. And Here's I believe this is a John Singer Sargent. Of course, it's Venice and the canals. Here's an interesting one, Fritz Thalo. Just, I was really captivated by this. This was so beautiful. The water was captured. Oh my God. I'm going to look this guy up and see what else he's done. But that was just magical. And now Whistler, another Whistler. And I'm like, this just seems to be trying to be controversial on purpose. Because I don't like this. I'm sorry, this is just stupid. I don't see anything. Here's an interesting kind of a genre, little story of this woman in the cafe, and he captures the quietness and the loneliness, and it really makes me feel like today's kind of cafe. Now here's a Sorolla. This man won a lot of prizes in the Salon and many of the galleries at his time. But I don't like him very much. He's one of my least favorite painters. And here kind of captures the feeling at the table that he had in these late 1800s. This is kind of the way I always imagined it was, this painting. And so I was interested in this painting. Here's some more Monets. There's just so many great Monets. I had to keep moving. I could spend more time on these, but in your museum, you got to keep going because I wanted to see as much as I could. Now here's a Courbet, and he's really looking at the specific weather patterns. Now we move on to the Rosa Bonheur and this dog after the hunt. Really enjoyed this. Such a masterful painter. Rosa Bonheur. Okay, then I walked into a gallery. This is snapped out of the Impressionist era and some kind of fantastical fantasy stuff. But then I walked back in and I was presented with a Whistler again. And here's another Whistler. Disappointing. Just like the blacks, like, didn't he get Impressionism? He just like rejected the colors of Impressionism. I gotta say, it's kind of stupid. And he's so pretentious the way he has this gigantic portrait, and yet he's just wasted on all these blacks and grays and browns, and she looks like a jerk. Next, we move on to Edmond Charlemont, something like that, and this is really an impressive painting. This is said to be one of the most popular items in the gift shop, and it's very impressive. Here's an Anton Mauve, and we're going to glorification of the pleasant life, which is kind of good. You got two ends. You got the glorification of the poor and the glorification of the rich. So here's some more Cezannes, and I've seen this in books many, many times. And here's these Pizarros. I love these late Pizarro paintings. Just so enjoyable. Here's a little kind of view of the gallery. The joy of Impressionism is just so wonderful. Don't take anything too seriously. That's what Impressionism says right to me right now. Just enjoy what you see. Here's some great masterpiece. I always try to hold back on masterpiece, but I like Paul Cézanne. And as you move through these different decades of his work, you can see in this one at the end, kind of see more about how his method worked. He had a definite process, and now it's broken down here when he's much older. You can kind of see how he divided up the painting into different spots. Now we move on to the Van Gogh, and just love this little boy here. And the colors, of course, in Van Gogh, they're really just wild colors because these are not the colors you're seeing in real life. In a Van Gogh, the imagination is not in the drama, it's in the colors. He uses all his imagination to insert colors and make them all work together. It's just absolutely wonderful. Of course, you've never seen a painting of a rainstorm, and he thought of that and he went with it, and it looks great. Now we move on to the Vuillards, and They're enjoyable, very interior. Now, I do like nature, but I like Vuillard. I have a nice feeling when I. Wait. Now we move on to some paintings that I really dislike. These make me feel uncomfortable. They're airy, they're kind of self indulgent, sickly, imaginative, compared to this Henri Rousseau, which is imaginative and just wonderfully charming. So, what I'm trying to point out is like, it's okay to dislike paintings, it's okay to hate paintings. Here we move on to another Cassatt. We saw James Ensor real fast, and then we move on to the Vuillards here to end up the 1800s. And we're going to take a break. And what I want to say is this is the time to take a break. Go to the museum. You see a lot of paintings. Take a break. Think about what you've been doing. You don't want to go too fast. You don't want to push yourself just to push yourself. I know people are on vacation and they want to go fast through these things, but take a break. Leave the museum. Go out and get something. Return and have fresh eyes and see stuff again. Now we move into Cubism, and I don't like this kind of Cubism. It's just kind of ugly to me. Anyway, here's another ugly thing that I don't like. This is who is this? Ellsworth Kelly. I don't like any of these. This whole gallery, I just glanced in it and I walked away. I'm not looking at this stuff. There's too much stuff I enjoy. Why would I spend stuff I don't like? I love this one. This was Ozenfont. Really like this one. Maybe it was because I hated that one gallery and then I saw something I really liked. This one stood out for me. Sometimes the eye and the mind can work like that. Here is a Picasso, of course. And, Picasso, I totally respect Picasso. He's just absolutely cerebral, amazing, but he certainly doesn't have the heart of the Impressionists. Here's a Soutine, and here's a Modigliani. These two men were great friends, both very kind of outskirts of their social life because they were so difficult to get along with. I've just finished a book on Modigliani, and I really enjoyed reading about him. There's going to be a film about Modigliani, and I bet you Soutine should be in that film because he was a significant part of his life. Here's a Kandinsky. We're moving on to this modern era. I think about him, kind of undecided on whether I like him or not. A little indifferent. And here's a Copley of Marcel Duchamp. Now, Marcel Duchamp is someone who I hate. So let's get that out there. But here's someone who I love, Giorgio de Chirico. And let's examine this. For me, this painting is about modernity, and here's a man who's showing us the past here with this ancient sculpture and these organic shaped architecture, but then you have the future, the steam train in the background, and you can hear it and you can feel the ground shake, and that's the future. Here's an outstanding Man Ray. Wow. Oh, so impressive. I'm surprised this isn't more highly praised because it's just so mysterious and wonderful to look at. You could spend a long time thinking about this one, but as I said, we got to keep moving. But I really want to come back and see something like this again. He took paintings, he took photographs, but he considered himself a painter. There's just so much going on in this painting. I'm really befuddled and very intrigued, and I love the colors and the design, and I can't even think of anything to say when I look at this painting. Okay, here's these famous Warhol portraits, industrial type of painting. Here's another stuff. I don't like this stuff. It's just stupid. It's just dumb. It's an experiment and it fails. These paintings just drain the energy out of me. Even Mondrian, when I was younger, I kind of liked Mondrian, but looking back now, he doesn't do anything for me. I respect what they were trying to do and see things differently, but in the end, it doesn't do anything for me. This one's not so bad. This one's better than most. But, this is just so industrial. Art. I realize it really should be more about spirit and feeling. These are just too many right angles. And now we move on to my least favorite people, the Duchamps. Oh, here, this ugly garbage made by the Duchamp gang. This is the brothers and sisters, and I hate them. It's my wish that in 20 years from now, they'll put the Duchamps in the basement and make room for some new art because it's just garbage. Look at these lack of colors, just chaos. You like chaos? Go right ahead and like chaos. You like weird stuff that looks like it's interesting, but it's not. There's nothing in there, Are these ugly colors? Just absolute crap. Boy, I gotta oh boy, hilarious. It's a glass, and it's a glass, and it's a chocolate grinder or whatever it is. Oh, Gus, I'm not laughing. It's just stupid. I'm not laughing. A dumb joke that's been glorified. Analytical painting. God, it's ever a guy without a heart. It's Marcel Duchamp. Compared to Paul Klee, what a great, innocent, wonderful, imaginative heart he had. Here's a great Spanish, Mexican, I want to say, Mexican artist. This was kind of fun. This little room here of Mexican sculptures and paintings, very interesting. I'm going to look up some of these names in the future. And now another gallery that I despise, glanced in here, Cy Twombly. This is just stupid. I'm trying to hold myself back, but it's okay to hate this. I actually hate this. I hate this art. It's supposed to be about Hector and Greeks, but all he does is put the words in. He has no imagination. He just puts the words in. Big deal. Okay, now another artist I don't like, Rauschenberg. What I'm showing here, I'm trying to look at it and see if there's something I'm missing. And I just see a waste of time. This New York City art, New York City art is New York City's like a continent on itself. It creates this art for America, but I consider it New York City art. It's a whole country in its own that's not applicable to all of United States. And I'd say that in the present day too. These, I get the joke. I get that this was a joke, but once you get past the joke, there's just nothing here. It's just empty. I'm not laughing. I love humor. Okay, now here's a Turner. Getting my engine revved up again here. Things are starting to start up again. Constable, really love him. As I said, you have in the English art, we're going to see more English art. You have these people, men who enjoyed nature, and then you had the ones who are doing the society rich people. Very great contrast between the two, inequality there. Just randomly showing stuff I like. I did like this Benjamin West. Here's a great picture with some lightning. This was kind of interesting. Who is this? Linnell. there was a kind of a travel genre of some of these painters. They would travel around the world and capture the images. Here's a genre painting, this young boy trying to impress the sister, and then as he goes older, he's courting her. He's a military man. Outstanding Corot. Oh, just an early masterpiece by Monsieur Corot. Here's a Ingres. Now I like his portraits and the demeanor of the people in the portraits. Like I don't like those two guys don't look very interesting. Here's a Goya. Now this is an interesting looking person here. Here's a Delacroix portrait. He didn't focus so much on portraits, but it's interesting to see how he presented these. Benjamin Marshall, portrait of the Weston family coming up. And here the three brothers, and they put their sister on the horse so that she won't dirty her skirt. Here's some kind of novelty Italian works that I was really fascinated by. And this can happen when you go in a museum. You get surprised by things that you don't expect to see. Giovanni Bernardino Azzolini. These are some allegories, but they were just very interesting. And I had to look at them. I got some reflections when I was filming it. So I filmed them a couple times here, and so I could remember them for the future, because they were just kind of they're novelties, but they're just an enjoyable way that he thought of to do these. Oh, here's another one. This is by another artist, but it's a philosopher. Now here we go into these English portraits of these people. Like there's lots of portraits by Jake Lawrence and Reynolds, and I these people they just I'm not interested in these people, but man, there's a lot of these. Now this horse, you have no feeling for the horse. I feel this painting's more about owning the property, owning the horse, because it's worth a lot of money, but it's not about the horse. Here's these rich English people who the Americans wanted to get away from and establish their independence. And when I see the way they paint, I emphasize with my fellow Americans. Here's Hogarth, who did do some mockery of the rich people and society. Here's a Romney portrait. Wow, she looks like a difficult person. Sorry, no sympathy for her. When I look at these portraits, I just feel they're just snobby, rich people showing off, trying to glorify themselves. Back to a nice landscape, and then we move on to a Gainsborough. Wow, that guy looks kind of interesting. I liked him, his face and his eyes. And he reads like I like to read. So here we move on to another Gainsborough. This is very, very nice painting. Oh, I like this. I'm enjoying this, and one thing I notice is that cow walking down. There's a famous Edward Hopper where he has the backside of a cow crossing the railroad tracks. Okay, now we move on to Poussin. He's just so outrageously frivolous. Just he's just like nothing to do with his time. Just like they were just like living in a fantasy world. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but it captures your attention in a way. But it's just like this is what painting's like when you ignore your own time. Wonderful Christian paintings here. Oh, here was God. I love this painting. Oh, absolutely love this one. There's a phoniness to it, but it just works really well. It's just so delightful. I'm almost tempted to use the M word here. Here's another Poussin. Here's I think these are Americans. Looks like Americans. Um, and then some more portraits. Of course, I like the. This is the British tea culture of the 1700s. I've come to divide painters into the indoor painters and the outdoor painters. And I much prefer the outdoor painters. If you're from New York City, you're probably an indoor painter. Okay, here's this great room of tiles by these Dutch artists. I just enjoyed these. And I've spent some time examining them kind of closely. I'm going to go through them and look at a lot of the individual styles of the drawings and the subjects. These fantastical sea creatures. Then another subject was all of the merchant ships, the explorers. Of course, this is where their wealth came from. All this maritime um, exploration was responsible for all the money that they were making and be able to build houses and buy art, make art and buy art. Very exciting, captures the excitement of it. There were some other subjects they're going to include coming up, but we'll finish off here with the ships, but they also did some of the soldiers. The next section here, these little drawings, they're all of children, so that's another subject to have. Here's some architectural structures and expanded on the colors here. This probably was latter period where they really advanced the process. You can see the advancement of the process with all these colors. Here's some mythical things. Not as great drawing as on these ones. And back to some landscapes. This is a Ruisdael. Oh, I love this Judith Leyster. I'm very interested in her. And this guy's drinking, and he's got a skeleton here, kind of a moral here. That's what happens when you drink, my friends. It's going to lead to death. But enjoy yourself while you're alive. Now we're going to move on to some more shocking pictures. This raptor is attacking this man. And this one's got some baby killing here and just really shocking picture. Kind of, maybe this is about their times in a veiled way. But here's some baby killing, and if you were to paint that today, you would shock some people. Oh, I really like this Renaissance statue. Here's an early Bob Dylan. This is, I believe, this is a pope. There's some mystery about what the curtain means. Now we move into some more Italian areas. I like this Christ. Okay, now this is an Italian portrait of a Medici by Pontormo. Now here's a fun doorway. We're going to end here with a frame of a doorway. This is from Italy. And when you look at this door frame, it has a Latin inscription up there at the top. And it says, "Enter, and you will be happy." So, of course, we want to be happy, and I want you to be happy. And we will pursue happiness and enter the doorway. And we'll glance around this, a reproduction of Italian room with the portraits and the fine furniture. And I'm going to wrap this up here. Prepare to exit the museum. Back to the lobby, where we take one final look at the stairs and Diana statue. It's been my pleasure to have you join me here at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. And we step outside and we see the statue of Revolutionary General Mad Anthony Wayne. And I wish you a farewell. Thanks for watching.